All right, welcome to the deep dive. We're all about getting you the info you need, cutting through the noise, no extra stuff, just the key insights you need to become well-informed and fast. And you know what? This deep dive, it's built specifically for you, the learner.
Right. The person who really wants to understand things deeply, but, life is busy. You don't have endless hours to spend wading through all the material.
Exactly. We've gone through all those sources, the articles, research papers, maybe even some notes you've taken yourself, and pulled out the most important stuff.
It's like, think of this as your express lane to deep understanding.
Okay, so today we're diving into the psychology behind successful trading. And to do that, we're going to be looking at Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas.
Now, hold on. You might be thinking, trading? That's not really my thing. But stick with us because we're actually going deeper than that.
Yeah, we're talking about the mindset of top performers, those people who they know how to handle pressure and uncertainty. I mean, that's valuable in any field, right?
Oh, absolutely. The book uses trading as its example, but the principles apply to any high-stakes situation where things are unpredictable.
It's all about that mental edge that sets those consistent winners apart. And let me tell you, some of what we found is pretty surprising.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at why just knowing a lot about your field isn't always enough, why that mental game is often the real deciding factor.
And how shifting to a probabilities-based way of thinking, that can be a real game changer. We even get into why some brilliant people can really struggle in these performance-driven environments.
It is fascinating. So our mission for this deep dive, let's make it clear. We want to take the actionable insights from this book and help you build that winning mindset, whatever you're striving for.
Whatever your arena is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with this, I think, pretty foundational idea the author calls the illusion of knowledge. Basically, he's arguing that if your performance isn't what you want it to be, the answer isn't necessarily more information or some fancy new strategy.
Right, and that feels kind of counterintuitive, doesn't it? Because your first thought, if you're not succeeding, is, well, I must be missing some information.
Yeah, you think, I need to learn more. I need to get better at this particular skill. But the book really pushes back on that. It suggests that consistent success, it isn't really about what you know, it's more about how you think and feel while you're performing.
And, it's interesting who the author brings up as examples here. He talks about how people who often struggle the most with trading, they're actually super intelligent people.
Yeah, these are successful professionals from other fields, doctors, lawyers, engineers. They've got the knowledge, they've got the skills, but...
But they haven't cracked the code of consistent success in this particular arena.
And then on the flip side, there are amazing market analysts who are consistently bad traders. So it's not a lack of smarts, right, or analytical ability.
The real difference, he argues, is their mindset.
Exactly. They haven't developed what he calls a winner's mindset. And a big part of that is this idea of thinking in probabilities.
Which is all about truly understanding that in many areas of life, especially those involving uncertainty, you can't guarantee a specific outcome every single time.
There's always an element of chance, right? You can't control everything.
And this leads to a concept he talks about, the threshold of consistency.
Okay, tell me about this.
So he describes how those who haven't crossed this threshold, they experience a lot of emotional turmoil. Fear of failure, they get frustrated with mistakes. It's like a constant internal battle.
Oh, yeah, I think we can all relate to that feeling a little bit.
But then the people who have made that mental shift, they seem to operate with this sense of ease and effortlessness. Like the results just flow more naturally.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
Right.
But it really highlights how important that internal shift is. Okay, so we've established it's not all about knowledge. What are some of these paradoxes the book talks about?
Okay, well, one of the biggest paradoxes is all about risk.
Because it seems like when you're performing under pressure, a lot of our common sense goes out the window.
That's true. So any endeavor that has potential rewards also carries the risk of not achieving those rewards or even experiencing losses.
Right, that's just the nature of the game.
But the author argues that a lot of people, they understand this intellectually, but they don't truly accept it emotionally.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's like, you might strike out in baseball, but you still step up to the plate expecting a home run every single time. And then when you don't hit that home run, it just throws you completely off your game.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. So he emphasizes learning this skill of risk acceptance. He says it's absolutely crucial.
It's almost like you have to make friends with risk.
Yes. When you really internalize that being wrong or having setbacks is just part of the process, it changes how you see the information you're receiving.
It's not all loaded with that emotional weight of potential pain anymore.
You can be more objective, see it just as data about what's happening, not a judgment on you.
Okay, I see that. And I would imagine when we don't accept that risk, that's when all the self-sabotaging behaviors start creeping in.
Oh, absolutely. Like hesitating to take action when you see an opportunity because you're afraid of messing up.
Or holding on to something that's clearly not working, hoping it'll magically turn around.
Yes. Or taking a small win too quickly because you're terrified of it
Oh
disappearing.
yeah, been there, done that.
We all have. And the author makes a really important point here. He says these aren't actually mistakes caused by the environment itself.
Right, so it's not that the market is out to get you.
Exactly. The market, or whatever performance arena you're in, is simply providing feedback.
Mm.
It's neutral. These missteps, they come from us,
It's our own attitudes and perspectives.
driven by fear, not by a confident, trusting mindset.
He actually outlines these four primary performance fears, and I think these are really worth exploring. So we have the fear of being wrong,
Right, that's a big one.
the fear of losing what you have, whether that's money, status, whatever's important to you.
The fear of missing out on an opportunity.
Oh, FOMO, we all know that one. And then the fear of leaving money on the table, like not maximizing your gains.
And it's almost ironic because these fears often lead us to behave in ways that bring about the exact outcomes we're afraid of.
Right, like if you're terrified of being wrong, that fear can paralyze you or cause you to overreact, which ultimately makes you more likely to make a mistake.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this brings up a really interesting question. How do these internal fears shape how we actually perceive the world around us when we're performing?
That's a great question because it seems like sometimes we create these narratives about the situation that might not reflect reality.
Exactly. The author uses the market in the context of trading to illustrate this point. He says the market itself is essentially neutral. It doesn't have its own desires or intentions. It just reflects the collective actions of everyone participating.
So if we see the market or our performance environment as hostile or unpredictable, that might say more about our own internal state of anxiety than the actual reality of the situation.
Exactly. The market, he says, acts like a mirror, reflecting our own level of confidence or fear. And this places a huge emphasis on taking personal responsibility for our results.
Because if we're always blaming external factors, we're never going to look inward at the attitudes and beliefs that are driving our outcomes.
It's so much easier to point the finger outward. But the book argues that avoiding responsibility prevents us from growing and learning, and it keeps us trapped in those cycles of frustration.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's so tempting to blame the market, the weather, whatever it is, but ultimately it's on us to own our results.
And this often leads to another pitfall he talks about, the endless pursuit of more information.
Like if I just read one more book or take one more course, then I'll finally figure it all out.
Yes, we think that having more information will give us more control or allow us to get back at the market for a previous setback. But if the underlying motivation is fear or a desire for revenge, it usually backfires.
You just end up overloaded with information without actually improving your performance.
Information overload is a real thing. You can know too much.
He gives a really powerful example of how fear distorts our perception of information. He says, imagine you're in a trade and it's going against you.
Not a good feeling.
Yeah, nobody likes to see that. And because you're afraid of losing money, you start latching on to any tiny piece of evidence that suggests things might turn around.
Even though the overall trend is still negative.
Exactly. You're basically ignoring the giant elephant in the room because you don't want to face the painful reality.
Our minds are masters of self-deception when we're afraid. So this brings us to the concept of consistency.
Okay, because that's ultimately what we're all striving for, right?
All right.
Consistent results.
Of course. And the author defines consistency in trading not as some random stroke of luck, but as a state of mind.
It's not something that just happens to you, it's something you cultivate.
Right. It's built on specific ways of thinking. It's not about trying really hard to be consistent. It's about being consistent as a natural result of how you think.
I like that distinction between trying and being. It seems like trying implies that there's an internal struggle happening.
Exactly. It means we're fighting against something, forcing things to happen, rather than being open and receptive to what's actually unfolding.
And when things don't go our way, that internal conflict triggers our defense mechanisms and pulls us out of that flow state.
We stop seeing things clearly and start reacting emotionally. So the key is to shift from trying to extract a specific outcome from the market to making yourself available to take advantage of whatever opportunities arise.
So it's more about being in the right place at the right time with the right mindset.
And that brings us back full circle to accepting risk and uncertainty. The author really hammers this point home. He says, learning to truly accept the inherent risks involved.
Knowing that you might be wrong, you might experience losses, you might miss out.
That is fundamental to achieving that fearless mental state that allows for consistent success.
He tells this great anecdote about a client who had a huge phobia of snakes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
But his young daughter wasn't afraid of snakes at all. She was actually curious about them. And it really illustrates that fear is a learned response.
It's not some universal, innate reaction to specific situations. Our experiences, our associations, that's what shapes our emotional triggers.
And he says top performers, they've internalized this acceptance of risk so deeply that it basically eliminates fear. They don't need to be incredibly brave or have nerves of steel because there's no internal resistance to overcome.
They're not constantly battling their own anxieties so they can act decisively and confidently.
It sounds like they've created this internal mental environment where risk is just part of the landscape. It's not something to be feared, it's just a factor to be managed.
Exactly. And a crucial part of that is cultivating a strong belief in probabilities and having a clearly defined edge in your field.
Okay, so let's talk about this idea of an edge. What does that actually mean in a practical sense?
Essentially, it means having a specific skill, strategy, or approach that gives you a statistically higher probability of success over the long term.
So it's not about winning every single time. It's about having a system that tilts the odds in your favor.
Right. And the author makes another really interesting point about how our minds interpret information. He argues that the environment itself, the market, it doesn't inherently generate positive or negative signals.
It's just information.
Exactly. It's our minds that assign those labels based on our past experiences and associations. He uses the analogy of a child who has a bad experience with a dog.
Oh, and then develops a fear of all dogs.
Yes, even though most dogs are perfectly friendly. It's the association, the meaning we give to the experience that creates the fear.
And I guess in performance situations, a recent string of losses might make us view a perfectly good opportunity as overly risky.
While a winning streak might make us underestimate potential downsides, our past experiences color our perception of the present, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
So always bringing our baggage to the table. It's important to be aware of that.
Absolutely. And this leads us to this very important concept of thinking in probabilities, which the author says is a hallmark of top performers.
Okay, break this down for me. What does it actually mean to think in probabilities?
Well, it means that instead of trying to predict the outcome of each individual action, you have confidence in your overall approach. You execute your strategy consistently, knowing that over a large enough sample size, your edge will play out in your favor.
So you're not getting caught up in the emotional roller coaster of the individual wins and losses. You're focused on the long game.
Right. It's almost the opposite of how many struggling performers operate. They're obsessed with trying to predict every single outcome.
They want to be right every single time.
Exactly. They're seeking certainty in an inherently uncertain environment, which is why they often resist things like predefining their risk.
Because to them, acknowledging the possibility of a negative outcome is like admitting defeat.
It undermines their belief that this particular trade or this particular action is guaranteed to be a winner.
And the author lays out these 5 fundamental truths about a probabilistic mindset. I think these are so important, so let's go through them. Number 1, anything can happen.
Right. We have to accept that.
And number 2, you don't need to know what's going to happen next to be successful.
That's a big one. We think we need to have all the answers, but we really don't.
Number 3, there's a random distribution between wins and losses for any given approach that has an edge.
Meaning, even the best strategies will have losing streaks. It's just part of the process.
Number 4, an edge simply means you have a higher probability of one outcome over another. It doesn't guarantee a specific result.
And finally, number 5, every moment in the market is unique.
So you can't just rely on past patterns to predict the future. You have to be present and adaptable. What I really like about these 5 truths is that they help to neutralize the emotional risk.
When you accept that anything is possible, and you don't have to be a fortune teller to succeed, it aligns your expectations with the reality of the situation.
And that point about each moment being unique, it really resonated with me. Because even if a pattern or a situation looks exactly like something you've seen before, the underlying conditions, the people involved, the subtle nuances, they might be different, which can lead to a completely different outcome.
Yes. True mastery involves recognizing that probabilistic nature of things. Nothing is ever truly the same.
So we can't get stuck in rigid thinking patterns. We have to stay flexible and adaptable.
And if our goal is to cultivate that consistent, fearless state of mind, then we have to examine our beliefs,
Because our beliefs shape how we see the world.
everything. Our perception, our interpretation of events, our expectations, how we behave, and ultimately, how we feel about the results we get.
And if we have beliefs that are in conflict with what we're trying to achieve, it's going to sabotage our efforts.
We might intellectually understand the principles of probability, but if we have these deep-seated beliefs that contradict them, those beliefs are going to win out in the end.
It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. You're not going to get very far.
And this is where the author's 7 principles of consistency come in. They provide a practical framework for developing that high-performance mindset. You want to go through those?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Principle number 1. Objectively identify your edges.
So know what you're good at, what gives you an advantage.
Number 2. Predefine the risk on every single trade or action you take.
Know your exit point before you even enter.
Number 3. Fully accept that risk or be willing to walk away.
Don't get emotionally attached to any particular outcome.
Number 4. Act on your edges without hesitation.
Trust your instincts and your analysis.
Number 5. Pay yourself as the market makes money available.
Take profits when they're there, don't get greedy.
Number 6. Continuously monitor your susceptibility to making errors.
We all have weaknesses. Be aware of yours and manage them.
And finally, number 7.
Oh.
Understand the absolute necessity of these principles and never violate them.
These are your guiding principles for success. Stick to them religiously.
It's like having a personal code of conduct for high performance.
Exactly. And the author emphasizes that integrating these principles isn't a one-time event. It requires consciously creating consistent experiences that reinforce them.
So it's like learning any new skill. You have to practice it over and over again until it becomes second nature.
You have to actively work to align your mental framework with these fundamental truths. So, to sum up this deep dive, we've explored how true success in high-pressure environments, it's not just about external factors or gathering more information.
It's really about mastering your internal world, your mindset.
It's that inner game that determines how you perceive and respond to the external world.
Being able to truly embrace risk, thinking in terms of probabilities instead of certainties, and developing a deep belief in those core truths about uncertainty, that's what sets consistent high performers apart, no matter the field.
This has really just been a glimpse into the powerful psychological principles outlined in Trading in the Zone. We highly encourage you, the learner, to reflect on how these ideas might apply to your own experiences.
Especially when you're facing challenges and uncertainty. Think about it. What are your current beliefs about risk and uncertainty?
How might they be unconsciously shaping your outcomes?
And what's one small shift in your mindset that you could experiment with starting today? Maybe try to notice when fear is driving your decisions.
Or practice reframing a perceived failure as an opportunity for learning and growth.
If you found these insights valuable, we definitely recommend checking out Trading in the Zone and exploring other resources on the psychology of high performance.
Those 7 principles of consistency are a great starting point for developing mental discipline in any area of your life.
And with that, we come to the end of this deep dive.
Join us next time as you'll just have to wait and see what we explore next.
Keep learning, keep diving, and we'll see you in the next episode.